Osleys Iglesias, known in the boxing world as El Tornado, is a name that has begun to circulate with growing intensity in the super middleweight division. A Cuban southpaw born on December 12, 1997, in Havana, who from childhood was immersed in the rich tradition of Cuban boxing, a system that emphasizes discipline, precision, and defensive mastery. Yet unlike many Cuban fighters who become masters of technical points but lack destructive power, Iglesias always possessed a rare gift. He could punch with fight-ending force, a trait that would make him stand out on the global stage, and his amateur career offered a glimpse of his potential as he earned silver medals at Cuban national tournaments between 2015 and 2018, won gold at the Cordova Carden tournament in 2016, and secured silver at the 2018 India Open, achievements that marked him as one of Cuba's best prospects. Though, like many before him, he dreamed of breaking free from the amateur system and chasing professional glory, a decision that saw him move to Germany in 2019 to launch his pro career. And it was there in Berlin that his professional journey began in earnest. His tall 6'2" frame southpaw stance and aggressive style earning him the nickname El Tornado, because when he attacked, he did so in a whirlwind of punches that opponents struggled to survive. From his debut onward, he impressed, and by 2022 he had already won the IBO Youth, IBO International, and eventually the IBO Super Middleweight World title, a rapid climb that marked him as a serious force. Though some dismissed the IBO as a minor belt, yet the manner of his victories silenced critics. Because Iglesias was not winning cautious decisions, he was blasting through opponents in destructive fashion, building a reputation as one of the most dangerous finishers in the division. And in March 2023 he announced himself to a wider audience, with a spectacular first-round knockout of Argentine veteran Marcelo Cosores in Montreal, a fighter who had previously gone the distance with world-level opponents, yet was powerless to survive Iglesias' early storm. And just months later, Iglesias delivered one of the most chilling knockouts of recent years against Evgeny Shishkin, flooring the Russian with a right hook so brutal that Shevchenko convulsed on the canvas, a shocking image that spread across social media and underlined the frightening power Iglesias carried. His momentum continued in August 2024 when he returned to Montreal and demolished Ghanaian veteran Sina Agbeko in just 76 seconds of the second round. And later that November he defended his IBO crown by stopping Petro Ivanov in the 5th round, showing not only raw power but also the patience and precision of the Cuban boxing school, breaking down his man before unleashing the finishing blows. And by then, Iglesias' professional record stood at 13 wins with 12 knockouts, an astonishing 92% KO rate that left fans and analysts convinced they were watching a star in the making. Because fighters who combine Cuban techniques, angles, and relentless knockout power are exceedingly rare. Still, with hype came questions, and skeptics argued that Iglesias had not yet faced the elite level, that his resume was filled with solid but not world-class opponents. But his supporters countered that the way he destroyed those men was proof enough of his readiness, because the best fighters don't just win, they dominate. And domination was what defined Iglesias' rise. His style, a balance of intelligent pressure, slick footwork, and devastating finishing ability. And now his biggest challenge looms on the horizon. On September 4, 2025, at the Cabaret du Casino in Montreal, Iglesias will face Vladimir Shishkin of Russia in an IBF final eliminator, with the winner becoming mandatory challenger to none other than Saul Canelo Alvarez, the unified champion and pound-for-pound superstar. And that is why this fight is being billed as career-defining, because victory would catapult Iglesias into the global spotlight, setting up a dream showdown with Canelo, while defeat would slow his momentum and cast doubt on his ceiling. And analysts see the matchup as fascinating because Shishkin, like Iglesias, is undefeated, tall and technically sound, a disciplined fighter who brings pressure and patience, a style that could test Iglesias' aggression. Yet Iglesias believes this is his perfect moment, returning after a 10-month layoff to declare with confidence that the Tornado is back, promising not just to win but to dominate. And his fans across Cuba, Germany, and Montreal are rallying behind him, seeing in him not just a boxer but a story of ambition and sacrifice. The boy from Havana who left home, chased his dream, built an unbeaten record with knockout after knockout, and now stands one fight away from boxing's ultimate prize, the chance to face Canelo Alvarez. And whether he proves his doubters wrong or validates his supporters, one thing is certain: when Osleys Iglesias enters the ring, the audience expects fireworks, because his rise has been built not on caution or safe decisions but on explosive, unforgettable moments that have electrified the sport. And on September 4th, the world will see whether El Tornado continues his storm towards glory or meets resistance. But regardless of the outcome, his presence has already injected fresh energy into the super middleweight division, reminding everyone why boxing is at its best when fighters chase greatness with both skill and ferocity. And in Osleys Iglesias, fans see both the promise of a future champion and the excitement of a knockout artist who fights not just to win but to devastate. Vladimir Shishkin, known by fans and commentators as the Quiet Storm, is a Russian super middleweight who has steadily carved out a reputation as one of the most dangerous, underrated, and technically disciplined fighters in his division. A man born on July 26, 1991, in Stepno, Russia, who came up through the famed Russian amateur system where he fought over 200 bouts, claimed national titles, and represented his country on the international stage before turning professional in 2016. Bringing with him not only deep experience, but also a patient, disciplined, and intelligent style that quickly made him stand out. Standing 6 feet 1 inch tall with a long reach, Shishkin is an orthodox fighter who controls range with his stiff jab, works behind tight fundamentals, and gradually breaks down his opponents with methodical pressure, never rushing but always imposing his will. And since making his professional debut in Moscow, he has remained undefeated, moving to Detroit to join Solita Promotions and train in the legendary Kronk Gym atmosphere that helped polish his skills for the world stage. And in America, he began making waves with victories over dangerous contenders. His most notable breakthrough coming in December 2019 when he dominated Ulysses Sierra in Las Vegas on a nationally televised card, a fight that showcased his composure, ring IQ, and ability to systematically dismantle a tough opponent. And from there, Shishkin kept building, defeating Nagib Mohammadi, Oscar Riojas, and more recently Jose Uzcategui, the former IBF champion, in December 2022, a victory that was perhaps his finest performance, because Uzcategui had been to the top of the mountain and Shishkin controlled him with superior technique and relentless pressure across 12 rounds, proving to fans and pundits alike that he belonged among the elite at 168 pounds, and that win solidified him as one of the most avoided fighters in the division. A man without a loss, boasting a perfect record of 16 wins with 10 knockouts, and the kind of quiet, dangerous presence that makes promoters and champions alike think twice before signing a contract. Unlike flashier fighters, Shishkin's power is not reckless but systematic, wearing opponents down with precision rather than relying on one-punch knockouts. And that makes him especially dangerous for aggressive fighters who walk forward, because Shishkin thrives on patience, timing, and counters. And now his career is set for its most important moment, as on September 4, 2025, at the Cabaret du Casino in Montreal, he faces the undefeated Cuban knockout artist Osleys Iglesias in a high IBF final eliminator, a fight that will decide who becomes the mandatory challenger for Saul Canelo Alvarez, the unified super middleweight champion. And analysts are already calling this clash a stylistic chess match. Iglesias the explosive southpaw finisher, with a 92% knockout rate, and Shishkin the patient technician with perfect fundamentals, experience, and the ability to adapt. And for Shishkin, this fight represents everything he has worked for since leaving Russia to chase his dream, the chance to prove that the Quiet Storm is not just a contender but a future world champion. And if he can weather the tornado of Iglesias and impose his own discipline, then on that September night he will finally step out of the shadows and claim his rightful place at the very top of the division.